Hey guys, I'm Fast Talker, so I'm gonna get right into it. Today I am here to talk about the most controversial eyeshadow palette of 2017. The hype for this product was huge because it's supposed to be the sister palette to the wildly successful Modern Renaissance palette, which I also have here. And so it's supposed to be Subculture, Modern Renaissance sisters who have very, very different type of color tones, supposed to be in the same style of palette. As you can see here, Modern Renaissance on the bottom, Subculture at the top, very different color tone. These are very spring and warm, these are very fall and cool muted tones. I, no joke, watched 50 reviews of this palette before I bought it because I was so on the fence about whether I wanted to get it or not, because I saw that the reviews were horrible or they were amazing. People were very split on them. Yes, the ingredient list is different. Yes, you can hit pan on it very quickly. But I wanted to see if it's even usable. Is it so bad that I can't create any kind of look with it, or is it just difficult? So this isn't a review of saying like you should buy it, you shouldn't buy it. I think this one in particular really is personal preference, unlike a lot of eyeshadow palettes where I'm like, yes, get it, no, don't get it. This one you really have to apply it in a certain way to get it to work. And so this video is going to be about, is it salvageable, yes or no? So first off, I have to say, I really do like the Modern Renaissance palette. I think it's great. Is it an everyday palette for me? No. But do I use it at least once a week? Yes. The shades are really unique. The shimmers are really pigmented. It's beautiful. Yes, there is a ton of fallout. There is a lot of fallout. I mean, if you just look at the back mirror of this thing, there is stuff all over here. There's powder, there's fingerprints, it gets dirty. I notice especially in the crevice here where you get the brush, it gets pretty disgusting and I have to clean it really regularly, which I don't like doing with eyeshadow palettes. I don't mind fallout, but this is like bleh, fallout everywhere. So I really love this palette and the formula is great, but it does have its problem. Subculture palette. I was especially excited for this palette because when I actually saw the colors, I realized I don't have anything like this. I do not have any of these really muted fall tones. I don't have anything like Electric with this lime green kind of yellow shift. I don't have anything like Roxy. I don't have anything like All Star or what is this one? Axis or Rowdy. I don't have these colors, and that's what I really want. I want to get every single color of the rainbow in every single shade. I want warm, I want neutral, I want cool. I want to be able to do a look with literally any color that I can think of. And this fills a lot of slots for me. I did not have a lot of these colors, and especially now that it's transitioning into fall, I was just like, it's so fall, it's so nice, I love it. And so when this palette was launched, I was beyond excited, but then I basically immediately started seeing awful reviews for it. So you've all heard it, it's powdery, blah, 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 blah. You've heard it before. We're done with it. We get it. If you want to watch an in-depth review for it, watch the Beauty News one, watch the Tati one, watch the Vanny MUA one, watch the Laura Lee one. There's so many out there. It just, we're good. We got the picture. It's extremely powdery. So the first time that I used it, I was pretty disappointed. I did what I normally did. I felt like when I was using my regular fluffy crease brush, it was fluffing up way too much into the inner corner here and in the upper brow bone and out here. I felt like the shadow wasn't sitting where I wanted it to sit. I kept fluffing it in like I normally would, and it was just spraying everywhere. There was so much powder, and I always kick excess off my brush or I wipe it off on a cloth. I don't just go in hard, especially with Anastasia's shadows, because I know how they perform. They're very powdery. And with this one I heard, I'm like, it's the most powdery thing on the planet. It's basically baby powder. I was like, okay, let me just be extra careful with one. Just very, 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 very careful. So the first time I went in, I thought I did what was considered extremely careful. I just did like tip, 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 like the tiniest, babiest little taps of my brush into here, kicked off a ton of excess, and then went in. But no, you only need to stick your brush into these shadows one time. Literally. You just need to go tip. Get this much product, which is a good amount, kick off the excess as such, and then go in. And this is where I say these border on too pigmented. And yes, they're powdery, but the pigment is not buildable. There is only pigmented. There is no slightly less pigmented and just kind of a light layer. There is no light way to use these shadows. It is you go in hard or you don't go in at all, which can be nice, but is kind of my problem with a lot of like Lorac shadows, for example. I love the Lorac eyeshadow palettes. I have used the original Lorac Pro so much that I've hit pan on about half the shades and I need to throw it in the garbage, but I haven't for sentimental reasons. Regardless, I really don't like their formula anymore. When I was younger, I thought it was like, oh, it's so pigmented, this is great. But I actually really like buildable pigment. Kat Von D powders and shadows can also be too pigmented. So this is the kind of area that I'm trying to shy away from. I hate stiff eyeshadows, will literally not use them. And I don't like over pigmented shadows. but it's usable to a degree. I will say, if you like to just go in hard and slap your eyeshadow around, this is not a palette for you. You are not going to like this palette. It's going to get everywhere. Or if you like to overblend, which I do. I do overblend. I will stick my brush in there, like my fluffy It Cosmetics crease brush, and I'll just sit there just blending, 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 blending. And that's not a bad thing. But with these shadows, that is a bad thing, because it's just gonna get really muddy really fast. And that is also an issue that I have with the Rock shadows, because especially their Beauty and the Beast palette that I have over y'all. I love this palette. I use it all of the time because these shades are just so cool toned and unique, and I don't have anything like this navy blue. I don't have anything like these really kind of nice mauvey purple colors. And while I love this palette, if you layer too many of the shadows on top of one another, it is going to become a mess. I cannot tell you how many looks I screwed up using this palette the way that I use other palettes. I used it just blending, 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 and it got muddy so fast. And I noticed, I'm like, wait, I feel like there are other palettes that have done that, and I tried that with the other palettes, and yes, they do get muddy if you overblend, as if you just sit there with a clean brush blending and blending and blending, which I recommend as a technique with shadows, but not for this palette. And it is exactly the same issue with the Subculture palette. They have very similar formulas. This is less powdery and more pigmented and buttery, but the effect is kind of the same thing. It's going to get less messy than the Subculture palette, but it's kind of the same thing. Regardless, so my point is, these shadows are usable. They really are. There are issues with the formula. This formula is almost unusable. It is like just shy of being complete garbage. But what saves it for me are the shadows, because look at how pretty they are. You've got this yellow, this orange, this just like army olive green, and you've got this beautiful like yellow green but still wearable duochrome. They've got so many good shadows in there. I'm like, fuck, Anastasia, why did you have to draw me in like this? Because I want this to work, because I'm not going to get dupe products like the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette, because I don't like Jeffree Star and I don't want to support his brand. So I'm like, please, please, please work for me. Please work. And the only shades that I would consider basically garbage are Cube, which people you've heard have basically no pigment. You have to dig your finger in and there's no payoff at all. I am really digging my finger in there. Really, really, really digging. And I'm getting hardly any pigment on. It should be so much more pigmented than that for being a white. I have, for example, a Makeup Geek eyeshadow here in a white that'll show you what a whiter pigment should look like, especially a duochrome. Yes, that is just like one swipe into the Makeup Geek shadow. And it's just, this is just a random Z palette I have. So, and this just so much better. So that is just complete garbage. I don't know what they were doing with the formula, but it's just not even usable. But if you dig your finger into Electric and Adorn, they actually do have some decent color payoff. And I've worn both of these shades and loved them on my eye. So there are some in here that are just like, mwah, they're great. They're just like pretty much normal shadows. They're powdery, but they're usable. But the shades that I consider unusable are Cube. Don't even try. I mean, there's literally, it's not gonna work. Fudge gets muddy so fast. You cannot layer shadows underneath it. You cannot layer shadows on top of it. If you're going to use Fudge, use it by itself. Like you put Dawn under the crease and you just sit Fudge like right in the outer corner and underneath the lash line a little bit to kind of smoke it out. That's the only way I've been able to use this, because when I layer it with other shadows, everything else just became a muddy mess on top of it. And this one has particularly a lot of fallout. Roxy, I felt like worked fine, which is one that people were freaking out about, because I have a lighter skin tone, so I didn't notice any patchiness or excess powder. But even a darker skin tone, this one's gonna be like meh for you. And the last shadow that I'm just like, I just can't make it work, is All Star. All Star is literally not the same color on the eye that when you swatch it as. So you swatch it and it looks super pigmented and so pretty, but if you try and place this on your eye, especially on top of other shadows like Fudge, it turns gray. It turns like into a red version of Rowdy, and it's not a pretty color and it's not usable. I tried with a flat shadow brush. Where is my flat shadow brush? Where are you, my friend? Okay, here you are. I tried with a flat shadow brush just to try and place the color onto my lid, and it just was totally not the same color at all. I tried with concealer, tried without concealer. I tried this 2 or 3 different times, and I just could not get it to work unless it was entirely by itself. And I like to layer color a little bit. So for me, I'm not going to be going back to that shadow that much. But that's not really the shadow in the palette that I was excited about. The ones that I'm excited about were Electric and basically this entire second half of colors, because I don't have anything like it. And the colors that I have been using again and again and have been liking are Dawn, Roxy, Electric, Adorn to a degree. I have other colors that are like Adorn, so that one's not like, oh, it's so crazy. But New Wave, Untamed, basically this entire second half I have been loving because it's very pigmented and just blendable enough that I can make it work. So this palette overall, it's not complete garbage. It's not totally unusable, but you have to go in with an extremely soft hand. When I mean extremely, I mean like you take your fluffy crease brush and you just barely touch, just go on a little bit. You have to have a very precise hand, a very light hand, and yes, you can make it work. And these shimmer shades, don't even try to use it with a brush. Don't even try. There is no using this with a brush. You can use the shimmer shades in the Modern Renaissance with a brush, no problem. You can use the Lorac shadows with a brush, no problem. But I don't know what they were formulating these with that got the shimmers to have such amazing swatches with the finger, but such awful brush application. So I just dig in with my finger and I place it on the lid, and that's how I've gotten it to work. I am wearing this palette on my eyes right now. I'm going to insert pictures of the other looks I've been able to get with it, and also insert other tutorial type things to show you how I applied these shadows. But after 3 or 4 times playing with it, yes, I've been able to get it to work. And I didn't think I was going to be able to. I was thinking this is just going to be another video of someone just hating on this palette because it sucks so hard and Anastasia just screwed up so bad. And yeah, they have not been responding to the PR that well. They have not been responding well at all. They've basically just been saying, it's perfect, what are your problems with it? Get a refund if you don't like it. There are problems with the formulation. She made a statement, Anastasia made a statement saying that she wanted to make more pigmented but well blended shadows with these muted colors. And yes, these are colors that are very hard to get right. But I don't think they went in the right direction with it. I think they should have just fiddled with the formula they had before instead of adding more talc to try and compensate for that. Because the issue with this isn't the powders as much as the oils. They did not add enough binding agents to this to make them stick to the eyes well. So they swatch amazingly. They swatch like the Jaclyn Hill palette, but they apply like Kat Von D and Lorac had a weirdly pigmented baby. So would I say get this? Only if you don't have these shades. Yes, you can find dupes for these shades, but then it ends up being more expensive than getting a palette. I've seen lists where you can like, oh, Makeup Geek Shadow has all these different shades and you can just get dupes for this whole thing. But those are $6 a pop, and you're easily surpassing about 100 if you get this many shades and individuals and then also get a Z palette to go with them. It's like, yes, you can do that. So if you really just want like one single shade, then like especially Electric, that one is just such a unique, beautiful shade. And I keep using it. Like I'm trying to shake up the variety of this, and I can't because it's so good. But if you want to find a dupe for Electric, you probably could. You could definitely find a dupe for Fudge, and this one I can't use. You could definitely find a dupe for a lot of these, but shades like Destiny, Untamed, and Axis are just so unique, and I love the concept behind this palette. I think she should be responding better to everyone's criticisms about it, but I understand what she's going for. I know what she was trying to do. Just because it didn't work didn't mean she had good ambitions with it. And I have so much of Anastasia stuff, it's actually stupid. These are just 3 of the Anastasia products that I literally use almost every time I do my makeup. I use the Glow Kit, I use the Modern Renaissance, and I use the brow pomade. And they're amazing. I love Anastasia. They're high-end, but the prices aren't so high-end that you're like, whoa, I can't buy that. It's like just that middle area high-end where you're like, ooh, I'm gonna treat myself. So, Subculture palette. I'm actually not going to be returning it. I thought I was going to. There was one left in stock at my Ulta, and I'm like, I'm going to buy this and someone else is going to end up getting it in a week because this is going to be complete garbage and totally unusable, and I'm such an idiot. What am I doing? Why am I trying to review this and everybody else has done it? But surprisingly, I can actually use it. Yes, there are issues, and yes, this is not going to work for some people. It's just not. You're just not going to be able to get it to work. But some people can, and I'm not saying like experts can use it, but beginners can't. It's not about expert or beginner. It's about the way that you apply the shadows. It's about the way that you do this, because if you apply them wrong, as in the way you'd normally apply shadows, then they're not going to work. But if you apply them right, very specifically for this palette, aware of its faults, then yes, you can make it work. So I'd say I got mixed feelings on it, but I'm keeping it. And it's going to make a nice little home with my other palettes, and I keep sitting it out because I'm like, ooh, I want to use Electric again, I want to use Axis again, I want to use Untamed again, I want to use Edge again. Because you can create some really pretty looks using this, and I keep being really happy with my makeup when I'm done with it. So after the learning curve that you have of a couple of looks, I'd say this is worth your money if you really want the shadows and you don't want to support Jeffree Star and you don't want to buy the singles. Barring all those reservations, I'd say it's kind of worth your money, and I didn't think I was going to be saying this. I really didn't. I didn't think I was going to like this even at all. So there's my thoughts on that. Alright, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you didn't think it was a complete human disaster, give it a like. If you found me mildly interesting, subscribe. Put up videos every Tuesday and Saturday at 4 p.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time. I have an infant, you know how it is. And thanks for watching!